Hello, friendos. We have a Raja. She's a very happy kitty. How's everybody doing? How are 24-hour sprints treating everybody? I honestly have just been laying on the couch watching TV the whole time, so I've done no reading. But I've done some cuddling with the Raja, which makes her very happy. Oh. There's a Merlin trying to come around the corner. She realized she can't go that way. She's going to try a different way. I have too many cats. Anywho, how's everybody doing? What have you accomplished so far for your 24 hours? It's been 24 minus 8 is 16. How have your 16 hours went so far? Let me know. And what are you reading? Hello, Kelly. Hello, Tennille. Hello, Hillary. Hello, Pamela. Going to finish cleaning house first, and then we'll read. I will be reading The Remains of the Day by Kazuo Ishiguro. I always try to put an E and I at the end. I don't know why. That is not how that's spelled. Yeah, you're a good kitty cat. This is for my in-person book club. And we meet on Wednesday. So I need to read that. And then you're just a good kitty. You're a good fluffy baby. Trying to finish Legends and Lattes at 63%. Excellent. I know some of our other friends are going to be popping in, so we'll just kind of hang out and chill for a minute while we wait for everybody to pop in. Because, why not? Hello, little kitty. You're a beautiful kitty. Yes. I don't know. Brain, do the things. I just finished reading A Fate Inked in Blood. Yesterday, I was buddy reading that with Bethany and Brittany. I don't think either of them have finished yet. I don't think either of them are enjoying it. I, on the other hand, give it 4 stars. I enjoyed it. Hello. No, nice paw. Nice paw. Merlin, come back. She's like, no, you were mean to me. You met her. Oh, poor kitty cat. All right. And there they have gone. Hello, Grapple Fry. How are you? We've traded cats. We have a new cat now. Yeah, we had a Raja. Now we have a Merlin. Because, that's how they live. They're unhappy. They don't want to share. Reading The Raged Dragons by Evan Winter. Having a great time. We love a great time. We also love dragons. I don't feel like I've read enough dragon books. I need to read more books with dragons. I like books with horses, especially when it's like, when they're very Disney horse oriented, as in they have lots of personality. And I feel like a lot of people do that with dragons too, because typically when it's a dragons book, people are riding the dragons. I feel like people make the dragons very horse forward. Let's go with that. And I love a sassy horse or a dragon in a book, because real life horses are very sassy. So, just works for me. Works for me. Hello, Maria. You can relax or be productive. Absolutely. You don't have to read. You can relax or be productive. I need to read because I have only finished 1 book this month and I need to read my book club book. I'm working on the long to-do list and maybe squeezing some reading in if I can. I also have a very long to-do list. Will any of it get done? I don't know. Going to finish streaming the new, and then I'll decide if I want to do homework or read more of The Night Ends with Fire. Excellent. Maria's reading The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. Are you enjoying it? Is it a reread for you, or are you reading it for the first time? I feel like that's an older one, so some people would be rereading it, but also I've never read it, so if I was reading it, it would be for the first time. I also have read less this month and also broke a tooth from clenching my teeth due to stress. That's life right now. Yeah, that's definitely where we've been, Tennille, for sure. I've read 3 books this year. Normally February is actually one of my highest reading months. A lot of times I'll reach into like 15 to 25 books in February, and I've read 1. So it's been a time. I have started several books. I've started Dreams Lie Beneath by Rebecca Ross. I've started A Killing Cold by Kay Alice Marshall. I have started Wind Witch by Susan Dennard. I have started Empire of Storms and both Tower of Dawn by Sarah J. Maas. Like, I've started reading so many things and finished reading absolutely nothing. So, you know. First time reading it on page 118. Excellent. Are you enjoying it? It's supposed to be the news. Finishing watching the news. Oh, okay. That makes the sense. That does make the sense. I've heard of the Joust series. I don't think I have that on my list. Everything that I have on the list for Mercedes Lackey is just part of the Valdemar series. And I know there are not dragons in that. And we have Friends. Look at Friends.
Well, man, I haven't seen Brittany in years.
It's been ages, Neva. Ages. It's not like I don't see you multiple times a week. Like, of all my friendships, somehow ours align the most.
It's like because our schedules align and we have children.
That's why. Yeah.
You are the two with the children.
The children that, at least we have the children that need the most attention and whose schedules align.
That might be it. Could be.
Okay.
I'm child free today though, so like, here we go. Great times.
I need to text mine. I keep forgetting.
I mean, yours is basically grown, so
yeah. We ordered a bunch of outfits for her to do senior pictures, and they all came in Friday, so I need to.
Oh, that's fun.
I know they're all in. She's flying to Florida to take senior pictures.
Just for the pictures?
Yeah. Yep, just going for the weekend. I'm like, okay, whatever. You do you, boo.
Yeah.
Teenagers are wild.
As one who has one, I can, yes. Mm-hmm. Wild.
As one who also has one, but he just doesn't live with me full time. Absolutely
wild. The time.
Do not recommend. Do not pass go.
Just strap in. Hold on.
I feel like teenagers and toddlers are basically the same. It's just that teenagers have like usually better vocabulary.
It's the emotional instability that is the same.
Yes. That's what it
is. It's the different types of emotions and for different reasons, but the instability of the emotions is equal.
And they both can really throw tantrums.
Yeah.
You know?
Although truly, I remember myself as a teenager, and I don't think I would wish being a teenager on anyone. Like, it's not a fun
me either. I would never. I'm not saying that it's not justified. I'm just saying they're the same.
Oh, totally.
But I'm not saying it's not justified. Because
some of it's not justified, but it's not a fun time.
It's not like a time that you write home about. You know what I mean?
We're finally on the other side of that and have been for about 1.5 years or so.
Yeah.
But the 12 to 15.
Yep.
Plus everything going on in her life at the time. Absolute nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she would just get in a car with random friends and drive to other cities in the middle of the day and not tell anybody.
That's stressful.
I'm like,
I definitely pulled that as a teenager. And my mom was like, you're not supposed to drive in anyone's car. And I'd be like, oh, okay.
You can't tell teenagers anything. Like they think they can do whatever they want, and their brain's not fully developed, so consequences be damned. And you know,
it also didn't help that like I felt like my mother couldn't tell me anything because she'd already parentified me at that point. Like I was already raising your kids,
right?
So like, how are you going to tell me what to do?
Yeah, that too.
Are you kidding?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely not. And she'd be like, I'm your mother. You should listen to me. And I'd be like, okay, cool. But like, maybe I got pulled into the health class, the health room by the one of the PE teachers, because she was convinced that my youngest brother was my child. And she asked how I had managed to hide a pregnancy for 9 months. Because, ma'am, I was never pregnant. It's my brother. You nosy weirdo.
I mean,
and it is because she saw me at the grocery store. It is not because like she saw me at school with a child. Yeah. She saw me in the public, and I was like, that's really weird that you would ask me that question, but like also no.
Yeah.
It's my brother.
Literally my brother. And now my brother has that same PE teacher. I wonder how she feels about that.
That's a real full circle moment there.
And he does not like her, which truly I did not like her either. So it's fine.
Fair.
Some people just not be likable, you know?
Right.
Oh. Let's see what the rest of our friends are doing. Let's check in. Back over here. Devash is reading Delicious Monsters. One of my reading goals is to finish an author's backlog every quarter, and Lizelle is quarter 1.
Fun.
I mean, you've only got 4 books to read. I don't know how far behind you are, but she's only got 4. So
that's a really cool goal to have though.
Rebecca Ross is Q2.
Ooh, I love Rebecca Ross.
Hello, Melissa. Welcome. Tina also started a bunch of books, put them down because I'm sure I'll like them, but just not in the mood. That has been my entire month. I literally have started 6 books and not finished anything other than I did finish Fate Inked in Blood yesterday.
You did? What did you give it? Or can I know?
I gave it 4 stars.
Oh, that's not bad.
And because I'm not reading this year, I've abolished my rating scale and I'm just going on vibes.
I love reading on vibes. I feel like I do a mix of 50-50 because I think I can overlook a lot of things if I'm enjoying the vibes, but if those things are making my vibes less.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. Yeah, that's also where I'm at in my reading journey. Like if the vibe is vibing, you're going to get a 5 or a 6 star off vibe alone. Mm-hmm. But if the vibe is not vibing, then I can't overlook things.
Or if the things that are happening are affecting my vibe.
Mess up my vibe, yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Because like in all reality, there are books that I've given 6 stars this year that I don't know would, like if I was critically reading, they wouldn't be 6 stars.
Yeah. No, of course not.
Dark Oz, I'm looking at you. And I will hear no slander on that book because I gave it 6 stars, but I also am aware that I gave it 6 stars because it just hit me the way it needed to, and like it's the vibe
of literature here, but we had a great time.
The vibe was vibing. The author followed me on Instagram. You know what I'm saying? Like it all just aligned for me. And then Brittany was like, "I gave this 5 stars," and I was like, "Great, I gave it 6."
Yep.
So here we are.
Mm-hmm. Truly,
I like my books for a book club, like my in-person book club. Like we were reading prize winners this year, so like this I will rate critically, but it's because I'm reading it critically. But everything else I'm just here for fun, so I've abolished I've read 3 books this year, which is normally like the first week of the year. So
yeah,
sometimes we just
also like the world is hard. Just have fun where we can find it.
Yeah.
Definitely. If I was rating a Fate Inked in Blood critically, it probably would have been more like a 3.
Fair.
Because it has problems.
Mm-hmm.
But I had so much fun just with the banter that it's 4-star. It's fine.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah. I'm to the point where I'm just like, what is critical reading, really?
We're here for fun.
I'm just here to hang out and have a good time.
I always felt like as a public reviewer, it was my responsibility to give people my actual opinion of books.
Yes.
And so that's why I think I've always been more harsh and more critical. And I, especially with like my friends' books, I always ask before I read something, like is there a certain star rating that if I read this that you don't want me to publicly say what I read? Because I will not lie. If I like, even if it's one of my best friends, if I read their book and I hate it, I'm not gonna lie about it. So, but I will not talk about it if that's your preference.
Right. Especially for people, like from the author community. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So I have people who have requested, like, if it's anything below a 4-star, just to not mention that I even read it, and I'm fine with that. But I think because I am kind of stepping away after this weekend and just kind of going with whatever and not caring about the internet and being here, that I can just rate for myself and not for other people for once. And that is also kind of a relief.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, when I first started publicly reviewing books, I felt the same way, which I think is why I had such a hard time like truly reviewing like long form, because so I started doing like the mini reviews where I was just giving a couple of sentences about like what I liked or didn't like or whatever. But then I was like, but why, like, theoretically, if I'm just reading for vibes, someone else will see that I read this book for vibes and then still want to pick it up because of how it made me feel, which means that really I don't have to be super critical about it.
Yeah.
Because people are going to pick it up. I mean, if I say this was a 6-star because it made me cry for half the book, Magnolia Parks, then somebody is going to pick it up simply because I said it made me cry for half the book.
Yeah.
I don't need like an in-depth, like this, like thesis style review for someone to take my review seriously.
it's so very true. All of the things. 11-year-old already acts like a teenager. That's when it starts.
It does.
11 is like the beginning of teenagers. I know it's not in the name, but it also stops at about 16 and a half, 17. So
this is good to know as someone who's about to have a 16-year-old. That's great information to have.
Yours may be a little different than others, but from my experience, because I do have like 7 nieces who are between the ages of 17 and 20, it does stop around like 16 and a half, 17. So they still don't know anything and they still think they do know everything.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I live with a 16-year-old. He seems
yeah.
But the emotional, like they get another, they rein in their emotions a little bit and like have learned how to deal with them after 5 years of turmoil. So it took them 5 years to figure it out, but they get there. It's fine.
It is fine. We'll be fine.
It'll all be good. Hello, Julie. Working on Sweet with the Blade and meal prep for these sprints. We were just discussing that it's Happy Biscuits and Gravy Day and National Chili Day and Margarita Day. And biscuits and gravy is like my favorite breakfast.
I've never had this. It's not a Canadian thing.
It's a weird American thing. And it has to be like a specific kind because you can make it bad.
You definitely can.
I mean, that from what I have seen of biscuits and gravy, like through like, social media or like, on TV, sometimes someone will have it in like a thing because a lot of our TV is American TV. I could see how that would be possible.
Here's the thing. I'm not a fan of any gravy that you put over biscuits that has meat in it. So like sausage gravy, I'm not a fan.
Okay.
I will do like egg gravy, like with hard-boiled eggs.
I don't like eggs, so that's not on my
well,
agenda.
Jess is like, not for
like,
me.
but that's what we grew up with, because like my mom for like the first 10 years of my life thought she was a vegetarian.
Mm-hmm.
I say thought she was because she definitely would go and get a Wendy's burger. So like, you're not a vegetarian, ma'am. But that's fine. May she rest in peace. But so my opa, like at Easter, we'd always have Easter egg gravy, which was literally just the dyed hard-boiled eggs, and he would just put them into an egg gravy, and then we'd have that. So I do like, because it was like,
face at this,
well, because it was fun. It got
would like to watch.
It got all of us to eat them because he would add the eggs at the end because they're already cooked.
Yeah.
So he'd add them at the end, so you would still have the colored part of the egg. Like you'd still be able to see like the color of the egg, which like how that was appealing to us as children, I don't know. But to this day, I do like hard-boiled egg gravy, but like I'm not a fan of like sausage gravy.
I mean, gravy in general is just some kind of a fat, flour, and either broth or milk, and like, which is like the basic roux of any sauce that you have.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very just normal. Yeah. And it depends on like what seasonings and flavors and stuff you put in it to how it tastes. And you can use like bacon gravy or bacon grease as the fat, or sausage fat as the sausage grease as the fat. Like there's so many options. I love gravy.
It's definitely versatile.
Except for egg gravy.
So you don't like eggs, so that's fair.
I don't like eggs. I also don't like mushrooms, but like if you take the mushrooms out, I don't mind the flavor of mushroom gravy. Because I just don't like the texture of mushrooms themselves.
That's fair.
So, but like I don't mind the flavor.
But like the taste of the mushroom is not the issue.
Yeah, it's the texture of the mushroom, and it doesn't matter. Mushrooms and I are not friends. Also, hello, Margaret. Welcome in.
Hi. Hello.
We're talking food. I'm starving. I haven't eaten today, but I've also only been awake for about an hour. So
yeah, it's definitely lunchtime here, and this conversation is not helping that.
Neither have I, but I could not get on here without. I needed tea.
That's right. Let's see.
Anyways, hi guys. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How'd you sleep? Well,
I slept well. Yes, I slept well. I'm starting to think that I don't like this book. And I'm very disappointed because I loved the first two books. But she did a thing. And people are going to think that I don't like it because she made the main character bisexual, which I love. I have more problems with who she made the murderer in this book.
What book are you reading?
What book are you reading?
Oh, no, Brittany. Oh, no. It's the third book in the Pride and Premeditation series.
Oh, well, I don't even know if I'm going to. Well, I have to read the first one because people
read the first one. The first two
but I don't really have many plans to continue unless it's really, really good. So that'll be fine.
The first one I absolutely adored, and the second one I absolutely adored. And I was having a really good time until about halfway through this when I realized that the author wrote this book because she felt she needed to fix Mansfield Park.
Oh, got you.
So I think if you want a queer Jane Austen retelling, this is going to work really well for a lot of people. Me, as someone who liked the original book, she has made a decision that has made me very angry with some other things. And I don't, it would be a massive spoiler, so I cannot tell you what it is.
That I should read Pride and Prejudice before I read this series, because I do want to read this series, but because I don't know, I feel like sometimes I need to read like the
Neva. I feel like you need to. Have you seen the movie for Pride? Yeah. Have you seen Pride and Prejudice? Oh, you probably know enough. You know enough.
If you've seen the movie, you'll be fine.
Like I know,
if you've seen the movie, you'll be
fine. Pride and Prejudice. I just never read the book.
Yeah, if you've seen the movie, you'll be fine. You don't have to, and it really is like I'm really excited because there's a little sequel to the first book. That's a different, like it's following Lizzie and Darcy, and I'm just like, this is fun. I like this. I'm gonna have to read it. I want to burn this one. I'm so mad that, like, I was okay up until the point where I was like, oh no, I think I know who the murderer is, and I don't like it.
I don't want to know.
But like but I'm also someone who liked the original Mansfield Park. Like it's not my favorite, but I like Fanny as a character. I like the romance in Mansfield Park. Anyways, yeah. So there's only so much I can say right now. I'm just
Margaret's having a time. TM.
I am. And my allergies are acting up. So that's fun.
Oh no.
We don't love that for you.
No.
No.
Yeah. So Tennille's nice about one of their PE teachers who in junior high had issues with the community because he abused his wife and was sexist in gym class. So just about healthy and healthy relationships. He put on Rock'em Sock'em videos and left the room.
Right on.
I mean, that might have been the best thing he could have done because that man didn't know anything about healthy relationships.
He didn't have much to tell you. Yeah.
He couldn't teach you because he wasn't taught himself, clearly.
Yeah. I mean, well, you know what? Here's the thing is that people who are in abusive relationships are really good at abusers are really good at faking being upstanding citizens and having the right things to say. So I probably that may not necessarily be true.
But if the community already knew that he was abusive, there was no reason for him to try to be an upstanding citizen because people already knew.
That just, things like that just make it feel like maybe the thing we shouldn't have taken from indigenous peoples was their land, and instead the form of justice that they practiced.
I mean,
because they handle shit.
You got some points there. Our PE and health teacher would just put in videos of the Vietnam War during health class and leave. So,
wow,
unfortunate.
I'm not sure what that had to do with health, but
nothing at all.
The correlation is lost to all of us.
I mean, I did learn that during the Vietnam War, like when they would go back to collect bodies, they would know who was who. Because the Vietnamese soldiers' bodies would have deteriorated and the American soldiers wouldn't have because of all of the preservatives in our food, which is then inside of our bodies. So our bodies did not deteriorate in the same way that theirs did.
Stop it, Jess. You're making my mother sound reasonable.
I'm sorry. I mean, I don't even know that it's true because that was based off of something that was made in like the late 1990s. So is it even true or is it propaganda? We'll never know because I'm not going to look.
It could have simply been that the fact that like our uniforms were what was keeping, because if you have like a barrier against the elements, that does slow down decomp sometimes.
That's true.
So
there could be multiple factors.
Yeah.
I don't mean to make your mom sound reasonable because that is too much. It's too much.
It really is.
Devish says that's why she was quarter one because I was only 2 books behind. Got to prepare my body for Mastery of Monsters because I know it's going to wreck me. I am with you. I'm so excited, but also terrified because Lizelle always wrecks me in the best ways. So.
You actually read the books of hers that I've bought.
Yeah, you should. How dare you not read my friend's books, loser? Kelly did enough critical reading during university. When I'm reading for funsies, my crit brain is not happening. And that is also fair. Tried to do reviews, but I don't have time and I keep forgetting. Also fair. Pamela's folding laundry while listening to us yap. We love that for you. I also need to fold laundry.
Yapping is delightful.
We are fun to listen to. Prefer just butter and syrup on biscuits, but I can do the occasional gravy. I don't know why I like biscuits and gravy so much, but I do.
I was raised by a Southerner, so I love me some biscuits and gravy, but I also do love me some biscuits with butter and like jelly or honey on them.
So good.
It just depends on what mood I'm in.
I like to do hello, that's my mother. I'll call her back in a minute. I like to do biscuits and gravy and also hash browns and just put gravy over everything and have the best time ever. So food is good. We like the food. Now my watch is vibrating because my mother is still calling. Hello, Jess. Welcome. It's like I'm talking to myself. That's how I feel about roasted tomatoes. Let me squeeze out the juice and toss these to the side. Don't like the tomatoes. Bless you, Margaret. 5 times over.
Sorry, that was 7.
7?
Because my body doesn't know when to quit.
I get that way with coughing. I have problems where I'll cough and cough and cough and cough and cough until I sneeze. And when I sneeze, for some reason, it makes me stop coughing.
That's funny.
I don't know why. Weird. My PE teacher kind of looked like Shane from the L Word, and looking back, I may have had a tiny crush on her. I mean, also fair.
Nice.
And good morning. Thank you, library. Welcome in. We're gonna get ready to do a sprint so I can call my mother back because now she's also texting me.
Good God! Is it in
the
first place?
Jess. She's like, I need to speak to you, Jess, right now.
Like apparently somebody's dying or something.
It's probably a very inconsequential thing.
Oh, it always is.
Yeah.
Let's
My
see.
parents used to do that too before. I was like, just text. Don't leave a voicemail. Just text me. I'm not going to listen to the voicemail. I live with you. I'm just going to come home and be like, hey, what did you need?
Right.
What did you want? Okay. Let's make sure this is on single speed. We're going to do an hour sprint because that's how we roll. Playback speed is currently on 2. We don't want that because then that would only be a half-hour sprint. She's stuck at another airport. God only knows.
Oh, that's funny. Is she in Florida? I could go let her know you're fine.
Yeah, she actually is. She's at the house in Florida, so.
It's probably only a 7-hour drive between my house and her house.
She is north of Orlando.
Oh, okay. So it's only like a 2.5-hour drive.
Yeah, she's not as far from you as.
Margaret, let me go let her know you're fine.
Yeah, I was like, I could actually probably no, it's 11:30, so traffic would probably be terrible. I was gonna say I could actually probably drive to her house and be back in time for my sprint.
No problem. Can you, ma'am? Thank you. Okay.
No, let Kitty Butt. We want Kitty Butt. Well, maybe not in your face.
Yeah, this is hello.
You realize you can just like move them.
You can, yeah, it's a thing you can do. Okay. I'm gonna hit this button and then we're gonna sprint and we'll see you guys in an hour. Yes.
He said give it. She said give her a second.
She did say that.
The 8.
This way. Then we go this way.
I'm kind of sort of back. We're having a dilemma.
I saw your message. I'm having a dilemma too. I finished my book. I'm still pissed about it. I'm still pissed about it, but you know.
But did you like the book otherwise?
Here's the thing. For me, a lot of why I enjoy a book has to do with how the ending lands. And I'm just beyond mad about this ending. So, I did not like the book.
That's
I was
fair.
having a good time until about. Well, here, let me just read you a sentence from the author's note.
Okay.
I have a confession to make. If I had to rank all of Jane Austen's books, Mansfield Park would probably come in as my least favorite. No shit.
I had no clue.
This is brand new information. I hadn't figured that out already. Anyways, Margaret's not happy about it, but it's okay. It's fine. Everything's fine. I have more tea. We'll get through this. So,
Yeah.
like, I don't know that it would be my favorite Jane Austen either, but I at least liked the book and didn't feel that it needed to be changed in the way that she changed this. She had the perfect setup for a polycule and decided that murder was the better option.
I mean, to each their own, I guess. Hear them arguing over.
No, I heard. I can hear them arguing about something.
Yeah, they're trying to put up the ceiling fan in the other room. So,
yeah,
you know, fun times.
I also think I may have messed up somewhere along the way with this blanket, so now we're correcting it.
I mean, that's a bonus. I had food. I called my mom. She needed a recipe. Because they're having some kind of like a get together or something for the.
But that required 2 calls and a text?
Yes, apparently.
So
I sent her a picture of a recipe card. And then the boys came over to change the ceiling fan. So I had to like figure out which
breakers,
which breaker is the one for that room, and hopefully not shut off the one in here. I don't think I ever shut the one off in here. Everything's on. So
yeah.
But it took me like 6 tries to find the right one. You would think that seeing as how we built this house, we would have labeled the breakers, but no, we just label them as we need to find them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's fun.
My dad has labeled the breakers at our house. That doesn't necessarily mean it's always easy to figure out which breaker is which, though.
My favorite is the one that just says bedroom, because there are 3 bedrooms. So
we have like 3, I think, for our kitchen, which is, or 2. I think there's 2 for the kitchen. So like there's one that's like the stove, fridge, and microwave are on that, and then there's another. Basically, so if you lose power in the kitchen, you don't lose power
right
in an entire half of the house. But it's still like confusing to figure out. Okay, wait, which one is the right breaker for what we need?
Right. Yeah, definitely. The one said wall dining room. And because that bedroom is up against that wall, I was like, well, maybe it's that one. So I turned that one off and it didn't go off. I turned it back on and the microwave came on. The microwave is in the kitchen. So I don't know.
Oh, you have one of those electrics jobs.
Yeah.
Oh,
so, I mean, my uncle did the electric. So
yeah.
it's fine.
I I don't know, because this is a house that was built in 1923. It's been redone a couple of times before my parents got it, so I have no idea the state of our electric. I do know that my dad was a home inspector at one point, so I wonder about things if things are up to snuff. If he would have bought the same house back then, if he was a home inspector then. So
Also fair. Hello, Merlin. What are you doing?
Anyways.
We did have Brittany left us to go out and enjoy her rest of her birthday weekend.
Yay, happy birthday.
And Neva said that she was going to miss this chatty bit because she's doing the things.
Nice.
Mom things, I do believe she said. Yep, mom things. She's doing mom things.
We have a sicko child, or a kid who is I think she's getting better. She seemed pretty perky yesterday when we saw her.
Yes. We've seen her up moving around already this morning, so.
Yeah. Which means she's probably starting to feel better and may want to go back to school on Monday.
We can hope.
So.
Alex is reading Housemates on audio and is 12% in. That was Brittany running away. Kendra got a chapter read and took a needed nap. We love a nap. Tennille sprint hopped, put away laundry, started some cooking, got 2 chapters of Emily Wilde 3 done. Kendra wants to know what Margaret is reading.
I was reading Manslaughter Park by Tirza Price. Highly recommend the first 2 books. I really loved them. She did a great job of capturing she did a great job of capturing what was really special about both Pride and Prejudice and Sense and Sensibility in there and remixing it in a really interesting and fun way. She made a specific decision about who the murderer was in this book that makes me very angry. As someone who loves all of Jane Austen's works despite having favorites. And Mansfield Park not necessarily being my favorite. I still appreciate it for what it was, and I'm not happy. Because again, Polycule was right there. And would have been it would have been such a smart decision for the time period that we're in, too.
Well, not all people think the way that we do, Margaret.
Yes. So, anyways, if you, like I said, if you are looking for, no, I can't tell. If you're looking for a sapphic Jane Austen retelling, I think you will enjoy this. Like, people who are not attached to Mansfield Park might enjoy this. I think if you liked the original novel and were looking for something that captured the spirit of the original novel, this isn't it. She literally confirms in the author's note that she went in and she kind of tried to fix Mansfield Park, and in my opinion, Mansfield Park does not need fixing.
Fair.
So it's one of those, you've got to understand the historical context and appreciate it for what it is. So, anyways.
There's lots of F words coming from the other room, so.
I'm glad I'm not the only one struggling this morning.
Laughter and F-bombs coming from the other room.
Well, as long as no one's getting electrocuted, to be fair.
It's true. There is no electrocution happening currently, so.
Good. We don't want anyone being electrocuted. Especially not at your house, because then you have to do something about it.
I know, and then I'm the one in charge. Gross. Gross. Stitch Life for Books says I'm at 89%. Love this book. It's super cozy, and it's one I can see if I need a just cozy or palette cleanser. I totally will go to this book. Excellent. Took me a minute to get there, but I got there. The camera video pause made it look like Merlin teleported away. How do you know she didn't?
It's in the name. Clearly magic.
Clearly magical. Hit 52% my book. Had lunch. Made it my breakfast for next week. Merlin is back. She's right there. Hello, Allie. Good afternoon. Took the kid to work and listened to my book on the way back. Got some book mail and now sprint hopping. Rainy's just started. If there need to be F-bombs, but yeah, absolutely.
Oh, there always need to be F-bombs, man. It's my favorite cuss word.
I feel like they probably put something in upside down because they both were laughing and said, "Look at mine, look at mine."
That's not something you want to hear when there are two dudes in another room.
No. They're related.
Oh, the internet has ruined me.
The internet has ruined you, but we still love you.
I continue to maintain that there are two types of ace people: the ones that do not want to hear dirty jokes and the ones that have the dirtiest minds you've ever heard. And I apparently am the second type.
We are both in the second category.
So.
At least my house is not the only crazy one. Absolutely. It's you know.
Honestly, if my house sounded like that, I probably would be a happier person, to be fully fucking honest.
The bird is now laughing even, so.
But the bird, you're doing bad when the bird thinks you're being stupid and is laughing at you.
Oh, yeah. My bird has actually told my mom she was stupid and then laughed. Like, mom did something stupid and the bird was like, "That was stupid," and then started cackling. So.
Did it do that unprompted, or did your mom say that was stupid?
No, it was unprompted. The bird just responded to the stupid action.
Oh my god. That's hilarious.
My bird is
also the second category. Like, listen, don't get me wrong. We're both types are valid. It's just
we are a specific type.
Yep.
And that's just who we are. We be who we be. What time do you start today? 3 o'clock?
I started at 3 o'clock, so we got a couple of hours.
Okay. Sophie.
You're yelling at the bird.
Well, she said Jessica first, so I yelled back.
Oh, that's funny. Sophie must have heard that we were talking about her.
Sometimes you guys can hear her, and sometimes you can't. It just depends on how much the microphone decides to filter out.
Yeah, pick up.
And so sometimes it's just like the whole conversation, and it's just like, "Are you okay, bird? Are you gonna be all right?" Yep. She's a mess, but we love her.
Most birds are a mess, to be honest.
To be fair,
I haven't met a bird that can talk that wasn't some sort of crazy.
My cousins had a African gray parrot, which is what Sophie is also, and his name was Brutus. And my grandfather spent a lot of time there, and you could tell because the bird would like take on his voice, and like when he was doing stuff, like if he was working or something, he would just like mumble under his breath to himself, and then he'd go, "Shit," and so the bird would just go, "Shit." Oh, only curse word the bird said. I don't know how Sophie doesn't say any because, again, she's like 23 or 24 years old, and she lives in a house with me.
She's a proper little lady, apparently.
She's a very proper lady. She does not do curse words.
But, you know.
Last night when I was going to bed, she said, "Go lay down." I said, "I think I will. Thank you."
Like, I'm already doing that, babe.
I mean, you can tell the sentences that are said 900 times at my house, and it's always sentences towards the dogs. Go lay down. Do you want to go out? Get off the couch. You know.
How dare. It's very funny we were talking about, because my parents have come back around to me getting a dog because they have decided they're getting chickens. And if we have a dog, they think that will keep the coyotes out of the yard.
Depends on how big the dog is.
It will be a standard schnauzer, but I'm not. If it comes to a choice between your chickens or my dog is not fighting coyotes. I'm sorry. But I'm not going to argue with it because I want a dog.
Right.
However, I want a dog that is allowed, like, I My last dog was so uncomfortable if you tried to pick her up while you were on furniture because she knew she wasn't supposed to be on furniture. I'm like, I don't know how we balance this because she got yelled at like twice and never did it again. It's very me coded.
See, Flash knows he's not allowed on the furniture in the living room because that is mom's furniture, and he knows he's not allowed like in her room.
Yeah,
but he will get on my couch. He will get in my bed. Like, he doesn't care. But they know which places they're allowed and which ones they're not.
Susie was so type A that because when she was like a year or two old, I finally trained her to get up on my bed. And like she had a cue that she had to wait for to get on the bed. I could be half asleep, not even fully awake. And if my mom let her in at night and she could tell that there was any part of my consciousness still there, she would just literally sit there and stare at me until I said, okay.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to train the new puppy to do that as well when she gets old enough to hold her bladder. But I'm like, I want a dog that's furniture, but also one that knows you have to get permission. Oh, yeah. We'll see if we can do that again. But I don't know how that's going to work because my parents don't want her on furniture. So
they will, if there are people home, they ask for permission. If there's no one home, you'll come home and they'll just be like a random hairball on the couch. And you're like, mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
I see what you've been doing.
Yeah.
Y'all shed too much to be sneaky. So
she did not. Schnauzers don't shed a lot. They do. They'll tell you they're non-shedding. They shed, but
they do, but nothing like Australian Shepherds.
No, I don't think anything sheds like an Aussie or a Golden Retriever.
And Huskies.
Oh yeah, Huskies. Samoyeds as well.
Anything with like that fluffy undercoat.
What the double coat.
Double-coated dogs are the devil, man.
Oh man. I mean, considering that Huskies are a double-coated dog, you're not.
I vacuumed last night, like around, I don't know, 6:30, 7 o'clock, and vacuumed all of the house. I do every day when I get home from work. I vacuum because you have to. Today, when I got up at like 10:30, I was vacuuming because there was already so much hair in the living room just from where like they've been in there sleeping last night. Just piles, like literal handfuls of hair. And I'm like, I don't understand how there is still fur on your body.
Yeah. We're gonna have to figure out how, because it's so funny. My dad's like, I don't want a dog on the wood floors again because Susie tore up our floors. Which, okay, fine. So I'm like, okay, so do we have booties for when she's in the house now? Do we put like tips on her nails so that like she won't it's softer on the floor than her claws? Just don't let her run. I'm figuring things out. We haven't officially figured out which breeder we're getting the puppy from, but yeah.
I hope they move forward with letting you have a puppy.
They will move forward. Like they're already talking about it like it's a fact that's going to happen. It's more of I have to actually reach out and do the work of talking with the breeder.
I love that for you.
So.
It sounds like they're struggling in there, so I'm gonna put us in another sprint so I can go see what's going on.
That sounds smart. Hello, Jean.
Hello, team. Working on Zodiac Academy 8.5. There's so many books in that series. So many. Okay, let us put this thing back up. I don't even remember which button it is. This one. Ta-da! And full screen.
Ooh, that's pretty.
Make sure speed. Okay, I'll see you guys in 1 hour. Hello, friendos. Welcome back.
Oh.
How did you guys do?
I didn't read it. I was helping Ari that whole sprint, so I'm gonna start House of Bane and Blood the next sprint.
Yep. I also did not read that sprint. I updated the vlog because we had some things to say. So there's a spoiler section of me talking about this book and the non-spoiler section of me talking about this book in this vlog now. So,
Fair enough.
again, why murder when you could polycule? And I understand it's a YA book, but still.
Margaret's really struggling with that. Why polycule or why murder when could polycule?
I'm just pissed. I'm just
Listen,
pissed.
I had a similar question for Taylor Jenkins Reid when she wrote One True Loves. You know what I mean? Like, why we had to choose? Like, why couldn't you just?
My thing is if you didn't like Mansfield Park, why are you retelling it? Why are you retelling it? Why are you choose one of the other ones? And I know that the names don't necessarily lend themselves to a cute little pun, but I wish she did such a good job of keeping the original spirit of the story the same in the first two books, and the characters still being recognizable. And if you have to fully make one of the characters completely different from how they are in the book, why are you doing that story then? Just keep it a duology. Continue writing about the characters we had in the first two books. Anyways, that's me.
Make better life decisions.
Yeah. Anyways, I was like, I have to put the spoiler section because if I say there's one thing that I disagree with, I don't like about this book, people are going to assume it's the thing that it would be bad to dislike about the book, and it's not that thing.
Fair enough.
So we spoiled the book, but there will be warnings and stuff for people.
Fair enough.
So now I'm moving on to House of Bane and Blood, and hopefully I will like this much better. I have to find my Kindle, though. I don't know what I did with it.
I ate it.
Yeah, Jess, you were here and you didn't tell me?
Dang, Jess, she just came in, out, ate the Kindle, and then left.
Mm-hmm.
How rude.
It was delicious. It tasted like paper.
I can't believe you'd come down to Florida and not tell me you were here.
Sorry.
She was just there for your Kindle, dude.
What a terrible person.
So I want to finish this book today, but unfortunately I have to either change tab colors or find new tabs, and I don't think I have any more tabs in the colors that I've tabbed.
Uh-oh.
But Emily Maas has used all of my tabs in these 4 colors.
No. Okay, we're good. Everything's fine.
I don't have, I have colored tabs, obviously, because, I am who I am, but I don't, they don't mean nothing. They mean nothing. It's just tabs.
Yeah, I have on occasion used similar color tabs when I run out of one color, because I have a couple of tab sets that I got where it's it has specific things on it. It's weird.
Sure.
But I tend to, I have a specific set of tabs that I use for everything, because it's got all of the colors that my Boss highlighters are. And I like my Boss highlighters because they are sustainable, because I can refill them instead of having to buy new ones every time I use them up.
Well, I did pick the colors I picked because of the cover.
Yeah, the cover. I do not need my tabs to match my cover. So I'm just cool. I just need tabs. I just need to that would be a level of analysis paralysis that Margaret doesn't need. I already have a hard enough time with the 7 colors I have.
Which is fair. Because I tab for quotes, I don't do extensive tabbing like some people do, where they tab in fantasy, how you'll tab world building, love, things like that. I don't do that. I specifically tab for quotes. So the way that I tabbed this book, especially because I don't tab on first read anyway, unless I have to read it critically for some reason. So what I did was I picked one color for each person because there's 3 POVs, and then this last color is for any bantery stuff or feel good stuff that's between 2 or more characters.
That's fair.
So like the light, so I have a darker pink for Poppy, an orange for Lucas, and a purple for Colton. Sorry, I keep trying to say their names the way that they're written in this book and not the way that they refer to each other, because they refer to each other, the hockey players do, by their last names.
Yeah.
But in the book, each heading is their first name. Yeah.
That's not confusing at all.
Right. And then a light pink one that is for like banter. So like light pink can be used for like banter between a main character and a side character. So, or it can be for like banter or like communication or feel good moments between the main characters if there's more than 2 of them talking at a time.
Yeah, whenever I do tabs, it's a lot. Most of the time, it's books that I'm like group reading or books that I'm reading for book club, and it's just things that I want to discuss, like things I want to talk about with other people in book club, or talking points that I want to bring up during a review, or things I just like. I don't have like a set rhyme or reason to the way that I've tried, like you said, like where you have like a specific color for like romance scenes or a specific color for fights or whatever. Like I've tried that in the past, and that's just not me. I'm not that analytical.
I usually color code based on what I know I'm going to want to look up. So like I have a specific color for quotes, and then usually I'll have 2 colors that are dedicated to like the main characters of my ship. There's a color for like any sort of like ship scenes, and then those are like the 4 that are usually the same, and then I will customize it based on the book. Right? So depending on what I'm reading. So
that makes sense.
It just depends on what I am reading.
I will say I love watching people set up their annotation guides, because I think it's so interesting to see how everyone annotates differently, because I'm such a simple annotator.
Yeah.
I just want to remember like my favorite things in a book, and I don't care so much about like world building or anything like that. So like and I think it's because I started by annotating on my Kindle, and I have a black and white Kindle right now, so there's only one color.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's great. That's it. And so I just started just highlighting for quotes. I wasn't highlighting for really anything else. And I think it's just come over to like, I only tab my favorite books anyway. I don't tab like every book I read.
I do not either. I will usually, if I'm tabbing something, it is a reread, or it is a book that is for discussion of some sort. But I read so many library books, it's hard.
I do it with arcs sometimes too. Especially if it's an arc by like a favorite author, because I know I'm going to want to talk about it, whether I like it or not.
Yeah. I do tend to match nonfiction, because nonfiction usually, unless there are multiple things that I want to be able to refer to, usually those are just one color. So,
Margaret, you're reading House of Bane and Blood like with your eyeballs, right?
With the eyeballs, because I know that it's going to have schmexy scenes.
Yeah. Okay.
I tend to prefer to read those.
I grabbed it from a 2-for-1 Audible sale, because it's only an Audible thing.
Yeah.
But I am going to start it from the beginning, because I'm not sure I remember everything up till where I stopped.
I remember enough.
But I won't get behind if you're reading it with your eyes.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. I know I probably will be going more slowly than you will.
So I will I will just try to keep in pace with you. But I am gonna start from the beginning. But I'm listening to it at 2 times speed, so
cool.
It shouldn't take too long for me to get back to where I left off. Yeah.
Nice. Uh-oh. Nope. Okay, we're fine. Everything's fine, guys. I did not screw this up.
It is okay. I did not mess it up. Let's see how our friends did during that.
Can you tell I was doing a specific challenge this week? Just All one color.
I mean, it's a good thing I didn't decide to do a book blanket or anything this year because, 3 books in, I would be not doing much. I talked about doing like the book Snake, and I was like, at this point, I would have to do like 10 rows per book I read just to get a snake.
You could still do a book Snake and just like carry it as long as you need to.
Right.
It'd be a book inchworm.
You say that, but like June is coming. You'll read a lot of books in June potentially.
I mean, that's the problem. It's like, it's not that I'm not reading. I'm just not.
Are you just not finishing? See, okay, so this is a problem that I'm also having specifically in February.
Yeah.
In January, I read so much, like more than what is an average for me at the beginning of the year. And then February, like my depression hit, and I know that's what it is, but like my depression hit, and I'm just like I'm like 8 books deep on my currently reading.
Oh yeah, me too.
But I'm not actually finishing anything.
Yeah.
I'm like making like a little bit of progress in each book, but I'm not actually finishing.
Well, if I look back at December, the last book, I only read like, I think 4 books in December. And the last one of those was either like the 14th or 15th. And so since the middle of December, I have finished 3 books. And one of them was a reread.
Which rereads count.
They do count, but it's like not like it's something that I had to put a lot of
a new book, yeah.
Yeah. And like I read oh good Lord, Jessica, it's right here in front of you, so your brain will work. What the Wife Knew, and I read that in one evening. Like I read that on the night of B&K Sprints. I stayed up and finished the book because I was enjoying it.
Oh, Danny Kane, right?
Yeah.
I need to read that one.
And then I read Truth Witch with Julie and Brittany over a week.
Yeah.
And then I just finished A Fate Inked in Blood with Brittany and Bethany over a week. That's it. Like,
yeah. So I read a lot in, I guess I could look. I think most of my books in January were because I actually was like, how did I even read this many books? Like, I don't know if anyone else feels like that, where like you read books and then you don't actually know how you completed them.
Been there.
And it looks like a majority of my books for January were marked as mixture books, which means that I was reading them in more than one format at some point during my journey.
Yeah.
That's how, like, I know most people will mark it as a mixture if they read it like immersion. But I mark it as a mixture if I've read it in more than one format. So like if I'm switching between like audio and physical.
Makes sense.
Or if I'm switching between physical and ebook, I will mark it as a mixture. So I read 9 books in January, but I've only read, I think 4 or 5 in February. And usually it's flipped. Like usually I read more in February because I'm trying to escape my depression.
Yeah.
Me too.
But it seems that this February I have wanted to escape my depression, but I haven't wanted to finish any books.
Brains.
And I also did DNF a book this month. I DNF'd one book last month too, because I DNF'd that horror book that was not good. We Used to Live Here, that one. I DNF'd. Yeah. And then this month I just DNF'd The Deal by Elle Kennedy. Because I didn't care about anyone.
See, at this point last year, I had finished 14 books. And DNF'd a few.
How many books I'd read by now last year? Let's see. There's Storygraph.
Oh, how we're just like comparing everything to last year.
Well, now I'm curious.
Well, yeah, last year for me was a normal year. Like,
yeah,
that is how I normally read. So It was a normal year for me.
January is relatively on par with what I read last year. And then I finished 3 books and it was all this week. I read 15 books in February last year. Like, what the fuck? Where did this woman go? Because
February is often my highest reading month.
Yes, usually is my highest reading month as well. Because let's see, how many books have I finished so far this month? I finished 1. Nope, that was last month. Finished 1, finished 2, just finished my 3rd one. So, like, this is a different February.
Yeah. Well, and after I read this one for book club this week, I'm going to go back to my Crystal Sutherland rereads, which I do every year. Yeah. I typically have done them a little earlier than I have this year. And I think because it is, I think the, winter depression. I think once I read my sad books and sob, I'll feel better. And then I can read some other things maybe.
Yeah.
Like once I'm in my feels and I have a good cry. Because, those 2 books are sad as fuck. So, just deal with all of the emotional turmoil and then come back from it and then we'll be fine.
I will say that I think part of what has that impacted my reading this month is that I ended up picking up 2 books back to back that had dead moms in them.
Yeah.
Dude, that's hard.
That's
like within the same, like, and it was literally like, I picked up one and I was like, oh, I didn't know there was a dead mom in this. So I like put it down. Like I didn't DNF it, but I just paused it on sprints with Brittany. And then I was like, oh, well, I'll just move on to it was an arc, and all like the second book was an arc, and it was also like one of my 12 Rex or 12 friends. And I picked it up, and then I messaged that friend and I said, how prominent is the dead mom in this book? Because she's introduced like in the very beginning. And she's like, oh, I didn't think to let you know. She's like, I'm so sorry, which like I never feel mad about it. It's a weird thing. Like it's a trope that's used so much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That people don't think about it unless they have a dead mom. And she's like, oh, it's very prominent. So I put that down, and then I just like kind of sat there and was like, well, what do I do now?
I'm in the middle of a lot of books right now. It's fine.
Me too.
I listed them all off at the beginning of the stream and then went, oh my God, I am in trouble.
Here, you know what? To make you feel better, I'll also list off mine. Are you ready? I can't tell you how I feel about one of them, but I can tell you what I'm reading. I have 6 books currently on my currently reading. So Pucking Sweet, which we know I'm getting closer to the end of this. I've been working on it since January 12th. It's fine. Fourth Wing, The Serpent and the Wings of Night, The Assassin's Blade, Leather and Lark. Oh, and then actually I only have 5 because I'm actually going to mark this one as DNF, which was the deal. It's gotta go.
It's gotta go.
And then I picked up some. Oh, and then I did pick up Lines, but I haven't actually marked it as being reading yet. Which is a YA hockey romance for a vlog.
I mean, it's not a me thing. I'm not normally this far deep into it. I don't know if part of it is because I like the pressure of reading things on time, like for book clubs and stuff, especially the Throne of Glass series, like because those books are so chunky, and just like the fear of I think it's daunting. I think it's a daunting task, and so I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, obviously I didn't do it because the live show was Tuesday and I'm on like chapter 5. So like, I didn't do it.
Which one are you guys on for that?
We are on the tandem read. We're on Tower of Dawn and Empire of Storms.
Okay.
And so I started Empire of Storms. I think I'm on chapter 6. I decided to just read them one whole book and then the other whole book and not do the tandem read. But at some point I was like, I'm not going to get this read in time anyway. And I'm deciding like I'm doing a YouTube break after this weekend anyway. So I just messaged Bethany and was like, I am like taking a step back for a while. And if I get caught up and I jump back in with you guys, like great. And if not, also great. And
yeah, well, I only asked because I made it to the tandem read, like it's tabbed, like ready to be tandem read. But then Rainey and Kelsey decided they were not continuing for their own reasons, which is valid. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
But I want to know how the books finish, but we waited too long between Queen of Shadows and the tandem read. I don't remember anything. So I'm doing them all by audio again as rereads.
Yeah.
Because I have all of them on my Audible. On audiobook. So I'm just doing one a month where I'm just listening to them on my own time until I get to the tandem read. When I get to the tandem read, I probably will pick them up physically. But I know that at least the first 3 or 4 books I can do with just audio without having to immersion read it.
Yeah.
It's simple enough.
We were doing them in
the romance order?
Book release order.
Yeah.
So the romantics order. So you did it where you don't read Assassin's Blade first. You read it like 3rd or 4th.
Yes. But we're also doing like all of the book series, not just Throne of Glass. So like we finished Queen of Shadows in August and then read the first. No, we read, Queen of Shadows in August and then Court of Fury, Court of Wings and Ruin, Court of Frost and Starlight at the second half of last year. And then, so it's been.
Oh, you're doing like the Maas verse, but in
the whole thing in publication order. Yeah.
I didn't even know you could do it that way.
It is apparently
it would make sense.
There is recommended reading order. So.
Well, hell, no one told me about that. Maybe I'll do it that way. Because now I'm just reading them by myself anyway. So like I can do them however I want.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I think because they overlap, not technically, but because they all kind of exist
together, yeah,
in subsequent worlds. I don't know. I just that is what I've been told as someone who has not read any of the House of whatever books,
the Crescent City series.
Yeah, I haven't read any of that.
Yeah, to be honest, I did all kinds of fuckery in trying to read Sarah J. Maas because I didn't know where you were supposed to start. I didn't even know that Throne of Glass was a thing. So I read A Court of Thorns and Roses in like 2020 or something. And then I read like at the beginning of YouTube, like when I found BookTube, I read it. And then I waited a few years. I read the first Crescent City book. Then I went back to Thorns and Roses and reread that. And then I read Mist and Fury. And then I started Throne of Glass. Like, I don't know what the fuck I was doing. Reading all like, and then people were like, oh, you know that you're supposed to read them in like, there's 12 different orders to read these books. And I was like,
read them in whatever order you want to read them in, guys.
Yeah.
I don't know what any of that means.
So I'll say the same thing for Brandon Sanderson. Read it in whatever fucking order interests you the most.
Yes.
And Cassandra Clare, same thing there. Although some of the books do spoil each other.
I think for some books, for some series, there are books that you need to read in a specific place. Mm-hmm. So as to not to spoil yourself for other things.
Yep.
But like otherwise, and that's so when I find somebody who has like a book reading order and they're like, okay, there's these 3 series and they all go together and you need to make sure that these 2 books are read in this order and everything else read however the fuck you want. Like those are my favorite ones where they're like, these 2 books specifically must be read in a specific way. Everything else, have fun. And I'm like,
that's why I'm trying to figure out how best to tackle the Zodiac Academy series, because like diehard Zodiac people say that you need to read, like, I think it's like the first 4 or 2 or something. I don't know. I have a screenshot of like the reading order of someone who's read Zodiac Academy like multiple times, because the like boys POV ones are like will spoil things for you if you don't read them in a certain order.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
for some reason, I feel like with most authors, as long as if you read in publication order, you're not going to spoil yourself.
Yeah.
It may not be the most, like, the best way to get the information in an order that makes sense, or you may have had time to forget things from other series in the meantime. But I feel like publication order is typically the safest way to read something.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
With most authors. Not always true, but with most authors.
Yeah.
I just find
they're trying to interconnect their worlds and shit.
Yeah, if I do not have a touchstone for whatever spoiler is going to happen, if I just give enough time between the two series, it's fine. So, although I cannot imagine reading City of Heavenly Fire before I read Clockwork Princess, and I'm glad I did not.
Yeah, that would be bad.
Yeah. I would have been like, what the? Okay. And then been so confused for all of the Infernal Devices.
Yeah. Well, and that's one too that, like, they don't happen in the same timeline.
Yeah.
So if you read them in timeline order, you're also fine.
Yep.
You can read them in publication order. You can read them in timeline order. Either way, you're fine. But
which I believe Cassie Clare also recommends timeline order.
Yeah.
So
I think I have heard the recommendation to split the 6 up and do 3 from the 6, and then the Infernal Devices, and then the last 3, and then however you want after that timeline order. But
so, but yeah, no, I technically read them as they came out, kind of.
Let's see. We gotta have some friends that have joined us since we've been chatting for 300 hours. We were joined by Alexi, who was giving her parrot attention. And we were joined by Christina, who's working on the porch today, and maybe some cleaning, and maybe some reading.
Yeah, apparently her porch roof collapsed from the snow.
Oh no.
So she has to get it cleaned up so that they can have it fixed.
Yeah, that's no bueno.
And before there's more snow.
Merlin, you can't just push your face into the keyboard. It does things.
Can I shower with you? The shower should be adjusted.
Ma'am, no.
Merlin, what are you up to?
Yeah, she got the shampoo and conditioner.
Pushing her face into the screen.
Oh, shampoo and conditioner.
And Glenda also popped in.
Be real.
Neva, Allie read Zodiac Academy straight through, didn't tandem read 8 and 8.5, but 8 and 8.5, but should have. Then I went back to read the novellas. Haven't read The Ruthless Boys yet.
Okay, I may just follow the guide that I found on IG that was like sent to me by the girl that I get my pop sockets from. Because she's also reading Zodiac Academy this year, and she's reading it in that order because she was like, this is the order I'm going to read it in, you know, being a newbie also, because I've only read the first 2. Like I listened to the first 2 and then I stopped. I don't really remember why I stopped. Oh, because I'm terrible at continuing series probably. But
I understand that.
That's why I have 84 of them on my currently reading TBR.
I don't even know how I need to finish like going through what series I'm currently in the middle of. Because yeah, well, you know, finishing series is a goal for Margaret.
Yeah, it's a goal for Neva too, because it's to the point where it's just ridiculous how many series I have that I haven't just like finished. And a lot of them are series that I legitimately would like to get to the end of.
Yeah.
Like they're series that I care about finishing, but it's also like this thing of once the series is over, like I can't escape back into that
that serious. Yeah.
into that world, you know?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. That's what rereads are for. I love that. That's
Alright,
that. I
so
think that's part of
Want me to
why
cut it?
yeah. Anyways, yeah, I'm trying to be better about getting some of these, like even just like deciding whether or not I want to finish these. Like even if it's just okay, you know what, I'm gonna DNF this. Cool, fine, that's great. So, but we got to get the information first.
I'm trying to decide if we should try to do another quick sprint before we go to Margaret's channel in 35 minutes.
We can. I mean, do you have 35 minutes worth of talking that we can do?
Not really.
Okay, let's do 20-minute sprint, reset, and we'll all go to my channel. Whatever is best for you.
Nothing is best for me.
Yeah.
We'll do that. We'll do a 20 and then we'll pop back in and
I keep forgetting that we need to go to my channel.
And then we'll go to Margaret's channel and you'll probably see the same faces.
Yeah.
Just in a different order on the screen.
I should probably give people the link too, shouldn't I?
You should probably do that in the next sprint.
Yeah. And I should turn on monetization.
You should also do that. I don't think I did, but I don't really care. So. Okay, let's do a sprinty sprint. I'm going to go check out this ceiling light and see how the guys did with it because I think they're done now. Hello, friends. That was the end of the final jam. Except it's not, because after this we're going to Margaret's, and then that will be the real end of the final jam.
4 hours later.
Right? I mean, technically the end of the final jam was also not the end of the final jam.
Well, fuck.
Because there was the biggest, baddest jam of all after the end of the final jam.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Nice. All right. So I didn't read it all in that sprint because by the time I'd finished setting everything up, it was like 5 minutes left, and I was like, left?
Wow, that was
Left?
that was real southern there for you, Margaret.
What happened? Where did that come from? I mean, I know where it came from. It came from my mama. But anyways, there was like 5 minutes left, and I was like, I'm not gonna try reading in these 5 minutes.
That's
That
fair.
is fair.
I did read. I listened to chapter 1.
Nice.
Well, and like I guess there's like a prologue or whatever too.
Yeah.
I listened to the prologue in chapter 1. That was the whole sprint.
Hey, that's valid. Prologues are important, man.
I know people that don't read them.
How are you gonna not read the prologue?
My friend
I know,
Kate
that just
does not read
happens.
prologues.
Like, I do understand not reading like an epilogue, especially if it's like a romance book and you know that the epilogue is just gonna be okay. In this context, I'm saying in romance books, I read them, but I know people that do not, like, especially if they feel like Lauren Asher books, I know people that don't read the epilogues in those. Because a lot of times, sometimes Lauren Asher will just have like a time jump where, you know, they have like the kid in the house and all that stuff. Usually her books wrap up in such a way at the end of romances that like you wouldn't have to read the epilogue. It's not
Why
me.
would you not want to read that though? I want that part of the relationship.
Listen, the only way it pisses me off is when you do something like they did in The Sinner by Chantal Tessier. I didn't need 2 epilogues. Okay, I needed 1. I didn't need I got 2. And here's the thing, like this book would have been a 6-star book for me, except that they gave me 2 epilogues and it killed it. So it got 5 stars.
So they Return to the King did. Got it.
Because they gave me an epilogue that was like present day, and then they gave me a second epilogue that was 18 years in the future. And really the only thing they did in the epilogue for this 18 years in the future is have sex in the kitchen after all the kids left for school. And I was like, what was the point? Like, I know y'all trying to show that like you have teenagers, but like you still got it. But I didn't need that.
You just make that first epilogue the final chapter, man. You just make that the final chapter.
But what I'm saying is I didn't need 18 years in the future where we see the kids like leaving for school and then he's like, let me take you against the counter. I didn't need that.
I like that shit, but that is also, you know, that's a very Christian fiction thing to do too, except for the taking you against the counterpart, like with the 18 years in the future.
I think I didn't need it because the first epilogue really just wrapped everything up for me.
Yeah.
In a way that I could sit there and be like, okay, you know, they had the kids and stuff like that. Like the way they get a couple of the kids is kind of strange because of the way that this book is. Like, just it's a dark romance. So, but like it's like a whole thing, you know. So they have like these adopted kids, but then they also have their own kids. It's like a whole thing, and like that's great. And y'all lived happily ever after. Well, as happily ever after as you can with a man who ties you to beds and doesn't let you up. You know what I'm saying? But like they lived happily ever after, mostly.
I mean, as long as it's consensual.
I didn't need them in their 30s to be like. I didn't need an epilogue where we're doing it on the counter in the kitchen.
Understood.
I do always read the epilogues though, so don't look at me. I just know people that don't.
I don't like. There's usually important information in the prologue, especially Like,
the prologue especially. I don't know how you would skip a prologue.
My friend Kate does not read prologues. She feels like if you can't get the
wait,
whatever,
is this the Kate that I think it is?
Kate Kavanaugh.
Yeah. Ma'am, you're a writer.
Yeah, she is a writer and does not read prologues.
I'm judging.
Does she write prologues?
No.
Of course not.
Okay, well, at least there's that.
So
at least she's not an author that's like, I don't read prologues, but I write them for you to read.
Regardless, it doesn't make sense to me because someone wrote that. You should read it.
I don't know if either of you have read Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor.
I have not, but it's on my TBR.
I love that book.
Well, we read it for one of our Authortube chat book club reads, and one of us always would read it at the beginning of the month, and one of us would always be reading last minute trying to finish everything. And it just so happened on that book that I read it first, and I felt like the prologue for that book is very spoilery for the end of the book because you kind of get a view of what's going to happen in the future at the in the prologue. And so I told her to skip the prologue, as I was known she was probably going to do anyway. But I was like, so skip the prologue, read the book, and then we can discuss. I said, and then go back and read it. And then we can discuss the importance of prologues in books in general. Anyway, so because we always have a topic, and that month we didn't have a topic yet. Yeah. And so it was interesting to read a book like that where I kind of wish there hadn't been a prologue because I felt like it spoiled the book for me.
Knowing the trajectory of the entire series and what Laini Taylor was kind of going for based on what I've read, it makes sense. At least for me, it did not spoil the end of the book. I was still very surprised by how things happened. But I understand kind of that logic. It's just that, but it's a stylistic choice.
Yeah, it's a choice, and you can make whatever choice you want as an author.
Most prologues do have information in them, though, that's important to know. Can you imagine skipping the prologue to Way of Kings?
Well, I don't know because I've never read that, so
we don't know what that information means yet. But it's important information. It's going to be involved.
Her theory is if you can't get that information to the reader without needing to write a prologue, then you're not writing it right.
See, I disagree. I kind of disagree with that because sometimes, I feel like a prologue makes the most sense if there's a significant time jump between when the prologue happens and chapter 1. Yeah. Right? And I think sometimes especially with something that's an epic fantasy like Way of Kings, we're getting information and a first-hand view of 100 years or hundreds of years before the story starts, and sometimes there's a difference between that having that relayed in description or dialogue or history versus actually experiencing it as the character that was in there would experience it. So that's
I like a prologue in a fantasy book, especially when it's written kind of like a history book. Probably because I like history, but I like when it's giving me backstory that doesn't feel overwhelming, but is kind of reading a little bit of a history book or an old news article or something to get the context of what's going to happen. I like it, but I know some people that don't. So
I have a book I will be working on at some point where there is the prologue is not necessarily important to the story. The character is going to tell people what happened in the course of the book, but it still to me is important to know because it happens a year before the story starts. It's important to know how they were feeling and what was going on there and know their thought process to know why they made the decision they make in that prologue that leads to later things in the book. So it's I feel like when you write a prologue, even if it's information you can get later, tends to there's a reason the author did that.
I mean, we choose to do the things we choose to do for reasons.
Yes. And I don't know. I totally get just make it chapter 1. That also is a valid thing, but sometimes I think it really depends on the story, and sometimes it is more applicable to call it a prologue.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, that do be how the world works sometimes. I went into the other room and got a snack and looked at the ceiling fan progress, I should say. There is a ceiling fan. It is bright as fuck, but it exists.
That's nice. Do we
And then I
care
went,
that it's bright as, was the intention for it to be bright as fuck, or?
well, I mean, it's brighter than the last one, which is good. I did not think about the fact that I'm getting ready to paint that room, and I probably should have painted before I put that ceiling light up there because
is it a ceiling light or a ceiling fan?
both, but it's a specific type. It's called a caged ceiling fan.
Mm-hmm.
And so it has like the fan part of it is actually only about this big. And it's got like a cage built around it, but that is completely see-through to the ceiling. So I'm going to have to take the cage off to paint.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I mean, yeah, that, and you can definitely, if like light clashes with the paint or makes the paint look weird, you could always change out the light bulbs.
Yeah.
It looks like.
Yeah, it's just that I'll have to take the cage off of it in order to paint it because it's touching-ish the ceiling. And so
yep. Yeah, you might just do it. It'll just be easier if you take the cage off anyways. So
yep. Unfortunately for me, I got so much to do in that room and so little time to do it because my mom is going to be home soon. And it's not going to get done before she gets back. And I'm going to have to listen to her bitch, but that's just life.
Mm-hmm. Well, if she wanted it done in a specific time frame, she could have come back and helped you.
No, I just like to have it done before she's here because she bitches the whole time I'm doing stuff.
Ah.
She's one of those.
She's a backseat doer.
Yes.
Wants to tell you how to do it, but doesn't want to do any of the work herself.
Yes.
That's why I don't vacuum when my mom is home.
But also just complains about like the space that I'm taking up and doing the things and
improving her house.
Correct.
Ma'am, again, do it yourself if you don't like that Jess is taking up space.
It's fine. Well, we're going to run away from here so we can go hang out over on Margaret's channel for a little while. If you're in the playlist, it should automatically take you there. If you're not in the playlist, then you can hit Margaret's channel up. It's linked in the description box. And then pop over and join us for more sprinty sprints. And talky talks.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Because we do the things. We do the talks. We do the sprints.
And yes. Perfect. Okay.
Okay. Everybody say bye.